Welcome to today's discussion, Reinventing Acquisition for a Higher ROI. Recording here from InsurTech Vegas.
Thank you for having me.
I'm Steve Gaertner, head of North America at ReMark, and I'm joined by founder and CEO of iLife, Nelson Lee. Nelson, good to see you today.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about iLife and why you're here.
We're a B2B vertical SaaS, software as a service company. We build front office software for insurance carriers and distributors. We're here today to talk about, insights for higher ROI on acquisition.
Absolutely. Just as we've worked together now for 10, 12 months, and ReMark often partners with InsurTechs to deliver comprehensive insurance solutions and services. And one of our partners is iLife. You're based in Silicon Valley, 4-year-old business, as I understand it. And together we're helping agents grow by combining technology and intelligent marketing together.
Exactly. We're in the business of helping carriers and agents succeed.
Perfect. So this is my third year being here, and I've noticed that it's grown a lot over the last 3 years. We had a pandemic year, and then last year was more back to normal, quote unquote. To me, it seems like the growth of InsurTech overall is like this. And what would you observe about iLife's experiences here at ITC?
Yeah, I think definitely there is a much bigger emphasis on B2B, on how technology will not necessarily replace certain jobs or people or functions, but empower people, enhance their experience, workflow, efficiency, and productivity. And I think anytime you can grow by helping others,
Yes,
that's a lot of room for growth. And the way I think about innovation, and InsurTech is all about innovation, right? The way I think about innovation is it never should be a zero-sum game, because it's not.
absolutely. Well, just looking across the exhibit floor, there's a wealth of solutions available today to support the various stages of the insurance customer journey. Today we're going to talk about one particular stage, and that's frequently top of mind is acquisition. How do we get more people into buying life insurance in particular, health or annuities? So today this stage acquisition in this area of life, health, and annuities relies on humans to execute the purchase of these products from consumers like you and me.
That's right.
Due to this, many carriers are challenged today with bridging these human-led channels with digital technology to enhance, the overall UI between the producer, the consumer, and the carrier. From a carrier perspective, for carriers facing these kinds of challenges, Nelson, what do you think their biggest opportunities are?
I think the biggest opportunity by far is recognizing that not only do you need, obviously, a better digital interface and experience, but that's obvious. That's not secret to anyone. Everyone wants a better digital experience, but also when you think about how humans just fundamentally interact with each other, period.
Yeah.
For example, you and I can interact digitally through our phone and in a variety of ways, but that's not the only way we interact. We also have offline ways of interacting, right? We might go grab dinner, go grab coffee. So I think carriers need to capture that nuance where it's an online and offline combination. And you need to enhance the experience of agents and their clients with such context in mind. It's not black and white. It's not just all paper and offline or just all digital. Humans don't behave in extremes.
Right. Well said. Thinking about from a carrier perspective, facing these challenges, why should carriers prioritize this sort of activity in terms of the UI to enhance the customer journey for the purchase of insurance? Why should carriers prioritize this over other activities?
Well, first of all, carriers are in the business of manufacturing and selling policies. And generally, consumers and agents, and you can treat them both like consumers because they will have a bias towards convenience.
Yes.
And convenience is a very important factor of a good experience. And most distribution relies on humans, agents, and brokers.
Right.
And if you make it a good experience for your agents and brokers, that's usually also a better experience for consumers. And that means better business for the carrier. So In a way, there is really not a reason this shouldn't be a top priority all the time, because it directly impacts your top and bottom line.
Yes. So, from a ReMark standpoint, we work closely with carriers to develop and implement sales, growth, and marketing strategies. So, when it comes to digital acquisition channels, I've observed that carriers often experience various levels of disconnects in terms of that impact sales growth at the end of the day. So, what are the benefits in your mind of building a universal e-app product experience versus kind of how things are architected today?
Yeah, I think obviously there are technical like engineering advantages, but I think more importantly, putting all that aside, just from a human interaction perspective, if I wanted to buy 3 things from Steve, and Steve gave me 2 options. Option A, I did one thing and I could buy all 3 things.
Yes.
Option B, do the same process 3 times separately. I'm always going to buy from you using option A.
Yes.
And option A is going to be a better experience for the agent, your seller, and arguably the client of an insurance carrier and the end consumer. So a universal experience is always going to result in a superior way of attracting both your distribution force and the end consumer, which kind of like both are somewhat spoiled by the universal experience of buying everything on, say, Amazon.
Yeah.
Right?
Well
Aren't we
said.
all spoiled? Do we all have a few too many boxes?
We have way too many boxes. Delivery daily activities.
Yes. Multiple times daily.
Yeah. Just in thinking about improving the tech is often easier said than done. So I've witnessed significant investments being made and then the initiative falling short because of longer implementation cycles, the tech not being used or adopted, or even maximized if it is adopted. From what advice would you have for carriers when investing in solutions for agents in this sort of track?
Yeah, well, first of all, in selecting anything for agents, it's agent feedback and their core KPIs that matter. And core KPIs are things like, hey, is it helping them acquire customers more productively with their time? Is it helping you acquire more agents and brokers productively, right?
Yeah.
Acquiring people who are willing and happy to sell your product is also part of the acquisition equation. So there's the feedback and happiness of your users, customers. The other thing is, when we say long implementation times and investment, I think it's important to think about things like, why are systems taking so long to implement? If it's that difficult and that hard to implement, is it really going to be that convenient?
Yeah.
I mean, newer technology in theory should be, more convenient for everyone. And if it's not that convenient to implement, it seems to defeat the purpose.
Seems counterintuitive almost.
Exactly.
So we talked about efficiencies and solutions for agents. If we think about an all-in-one sort of a platform approach and extend, obviously the agent benefits greatly from that sort of a system or platform. Beyond the agent base, what are the broader organizational benefits for a company, whether it's a carrier or a distribution group, an IMO or a BGA?
Yeah, so let's start with the carrier side.
Okay.
I think if you have a very modern and universal tech stack in your acquisition funnel, so the acquisition, no matter how you acquire a customer, it all leads to an application for insurance. Because at the end of the day, you have to submit an application in order to potentially get approved.
Yes.
And if you have a universal application for, say, 5 or 6 product lines and potentially 20 different products, you are by default managing less number of tech stacks and different software. And it's way cheaper to just manage one good tech stack than 5, 6, 7, 20 different tech stack. And also it takes a lot less effort and time to maintain. Sometimes people don't realize the total cost of ownership is not just what the software costs to the vendor. A lot of it is like, how many people do I need to maintain this thing so that it's kind of like the lights are on, That could be just as expensive, if not more, than the actual software.
Wow. Yeah, so the labor costs, let's call it, manpower to maintain all of these systems
Yes.
is often exponentially more expensive than the actual system itself.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, like $1 million for any piece of software. That sounds like a lot of money to, many people. But you think about it, like, what does that mean in terms of headcount? $1 million a year, all in.
Right.
It's like, so if a piece of software can help you, run a piece of tech stack more efficiently, just like it has monumentally more impact beyond the fees.
Right. Right. So from a carrier perspective, you've got these considerations, not only the investment on the front end, the maintenance cost ongoing, but also I would think that there's inherent benefit to an all-in-one approach from a agent satisfaction, distribution satisfaction, and that goes to retention, keeping good people on your team, selling with the platform that helps them do more efficiently.
Yeah, absolutely. I think retention is a function of convenience and happiness,
Yes.
right? So, like, for example, if I'm an insurance company and you're an agent I want to recruit or retain,
Yes.
I give you two options. One, hey, Steve, if you want 10 apps on your phone, you're going to have to buy 10 phones. Well, I think you're going to be pretty annoyed with me, right?
Yeah.
You're going to put up with me for some time, and then you get pretty annoyed.
Yes.
And then, like, if my competitor goes, well, Steve, if you want 10 apps, just put all 10 apps on one phone, or you're going to be like, well, that seems much easier.
Yes. Much more effective. So just in thinking about the ROI proof points here, really it seems like we talked about four things. One is improved UI and CX for better pull through and ultimately more sales, right? Universal e-app product experience streamlines the whole UI for all parties. So the producer, the consumer, and the carrier, right? The third proof point to me would be the all-in-one tool means, to your point, that fewer platforms for agents to navigate and stick handle, as they're trying to sell a policy or policies, and it results in higher agent, effectiveness and adoption of a single all-in-one approach versus having multiple applications on 10 iPhones.
There's definitely experience, there's definitely efficiency. And some of those might even go into, say, operational or product business margins, right? A lot of times, like, competition can get into like a pricing spiral of, say, pricing or a premium or pricing in terms of commissions.
Yes.
And I don't think it really like serves anyone to like always to be in a pure pricing competition, because there needs to be a differentiator, right?
Absolutely.
And I think things like pricing or commission, it's all relative to the ease of selling and the ease of experience, right? Something that is easier to buy and easier to sell does not need as much commission or as aggressive of a price in order to justify the buying decision.
Right.
Right? A very difficult to sell product would probably need to be priced and commissioned very differently,
Yes.
as opposed to something that's like super easy.
Yeah. Great points. So, I guess the last one I think we talked about together here is this notion of a consolidated tech stack means that it's lower cost, it costs less to have a consolidated tech stack versus multiple siloed tech stacks that cost more out of pocket and more time to manage, right?
A lot more time to manage. I mean, it's a lot more meaningful to have your folks do something else more productive than just to simply manage, maintain, and make sure something old doesn't break.
Right.
I think another also hidden but very significant advantage of newer cloud native tech stack is when everything's cloud native and containerized, it's much, much harder for something to break platform-wise significantly, right? With older software, very, very often, one small thing breaks or you make one small change, and then you have a chain effect where it affects everything else you had never thought of, and then the whole thing's down, and then you have downtime. And for a large insurance company, 2 hours of downtime is very expensive. It's super expensive, or even like days of downtime.
Right.
Whereas with newer technology, typically, new code is written in a way where you can have independent small bugs, failures, but it doesn't affect the rest of the platform. And that translates into reliability. And reliability is a huge, huge, huge part of ROI, because you will have no ROI if what you bought and implemented isn't like working.
Right. It's not operational.
The ROI would be zero or negative.
Negative, I think. You're right. So I think, in closing, I'd like to say thank you for joining, having our conversation here. This is, as I mentioned before, we've been working together about 10 or 12 months here, and I'm excited about the growing partnership between iLife and ReMark, and how we can change the marketplace together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cheers. Great to see you, man.
Thanks so much for having me here.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.